So it's election night in Dominica. It's December 6th. Mr. Esprit, I know that you've been a strong patriot. Give us a few of your comments. Give us some comments on the news that we're getting that there's been a Labour Party landslide.
Well, the whole news itself is heartbreaking. It's very disappointing. But my fellow Dominicans, this is not the time to give up. This is not the time to stand aside. This is the time to stand up. We need to come up with positive strategies to move forward for change. It is not going to happen by us just sitting by and doing nothing. You know, Martin Luther King spoke about good men sitting by idly and how dangerous that can be. So,
do you think there will be? I'm sorry. Do you think there'll be any serious investment under a regime that has been shown to be corrupt, as this regime has?
This regime has proven itself in a negative. And I don't think there's any form of investment. Nobody who's really smart, who really wants something productive, is really going to invest into this regime in Dominica. Dominica needs to change, and it needs to change now. It is not going to move forward given our history and this regime.
Yes. Any final words of inspiration for our people at home and abroad?
I feel discouraged. I feel very discouraged. I don't want to put anybody else in a mode in which they are discouraged as I am. This is not the time to sit back. This is the time to go back to the drawing board and think positively for what we need to get done for Dominica and what is best for it in a positive way.
What about the Dominicans who left the United States, where we have rule of law, courts that work, independent executive, legislative and judicial branch? What do you think about those Dominicans who left that system where they live at a level of affluence above that of the average Dominican and went to Dominica to vote for this regime?
Shameful. It is, the whole notion is repugnant. These people live in a country where its president is on trial for a phone call. They know the difference. We know what is right. Dominicans who live overseas, who educated, who intelligent, know that it is wrong. It is morally wrong. It is unethical. We know it. And we allow ourselves to be carried away too much by Roosevelt Skerritt and his regime and his doing. And it seems as though he has perfected the art of stealing elections. He's had 20 years to do it.
Yes.
And so we need to go back to the drawing board and counteract Mr. Skerritt to make sure that this does not continue in our country. And shame on us, Dominicans, who live in the United States, who know better, who's more intelligent, who understand ethics, morals, know what's wrong and right, to stand for Mr. Skerritt.
And what should the international community, the OAS, Organization of American States, the Commonwealth, CARICOM, do when they had made recommendations to electoral reform which were rejected by Skerritt and which were never implemented?
As you know, I was one of the people outside the OAS with the whole Francine Barron thing. I think the OAS needs to open its ears a little bit more and listen to a different side of the story, and so we can get a better view on exactly what is going on. If you listen, if the OAS takes this from a Skerritt perspective, a Francine Barron perspective, a Vince Henderson perspective, we're going to go nowhere, because this is one side of the story.
And can you tell me about your service in the United States Armed Forces?
I've lived in the United States long enough to have served in the military. I served at war. I've medic in the service. I've served with the State Department overseas. I've traveled, and I spent enough time in Africa to understand. I correlate what I've seen living in Africa, working in Africa with the U.S. State Department, with what is going on in Dominica now.
Tell me what you mean. Are you talking about the ineptitude and the corruption in governance that leads to poverty?
The ineptitude in governance, the poverty, the bribery, of course, the lack of education, the lack of intelligence, which therefore leads a lot to more poverty. When people are misunderstood, leads to a lot more poverty. And this is what we need to grow ourselves out of in Dominica right now.
Mr. Esprit, I want to thank you for your service, not only to the United States, but your commitment to Dominica. What would you want for Dominica in your final words, your closing words?
What is fair? Elections that are free and fair. We cannot have good governance. We cannot have a balanced system if we don't have free and fair elections. We need to work really hard on that.
Brother Gilbert, you've been part of the Dominican community in Washington for a long time.
Yes.
We've been together almost more than 30 years working on development projects.
Yes.
What are your views today as we look at the results of the election in Dominica?
My heart is broken, to tell the truth. I haven't been on either side, but just in the corruption, Mr. PM, what is going on, it broke my heart to see that happening to our country. I love Dominica. I live away, but it's just like it's overwhelming to me. So,
Do you think Dominicans who are here in the United States and see how the laws run, even with its imperfections, should be allowed to go back home and dictate to Dominicans how they should live?
No. But all these 5 years, if you're 5 years away from Dominica, you should not go back and vote. But my boy have money, yeah, people sponsoring people to come down to go and vote, and it's not right. That's illegal.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're saying that you shouldn't be given a bribe?
No. It's right there in black and white.
Yeah.
But the people are blind. Yes. They're really, really blind.
Does this remind you a bit about Jim Jones?
Yes.
Well, how does it remind you about Jim Jones and the Red Kool-Aid?
You know, today I was driving and I was thinking, I saying, this guy maybe just obey to those people, you know, or some type of force. Seriously, I was thinking about that.
Yes.
Because I can't understand how some people can vote for scary and seeing. I mean, see, we lost Ross University. We've seen all these corruptions, people going to jail because of passports and diplomat passports. You just seen it right there and there.
And they're still not seeing, they're still not accepting.
I can't understand it. You've seen that people, it's just like so much. I'm overwhelmed right now, to tell the truth. My heart is broken for people of Dominica. I love Dominica. Dominica is one of the only place or island in the world that has zero crimes, you know. So when I say zero crime, but like one murder a year or so, right? Other Caribbean islands.
But that's when we grew up.
Yes.
But it's been changed in recent times.
Yeah.
For the worse.
Yeah. Through this government.
Yes, through this government.
And I'm saddened to see the condition that Dominica in.
Yeah. You said something about the hospital. You said,
you know, my father died in 1968. Halford Ward. I went there 2 years ago. It looked like exactly the way I saw it in 1968. I was a young boy, and when my father died on an operation table. And you know what they told us? The electric. That's what they said. The electric went, so my father died. And the electric up to today, 2019. I don't even know how electric can go and somebody die. You understand? Yeah. I go there 2 years ago and I see the exact situation. The same way the beds are set. You know, it's the same way. There's no improvement in Dominica. Shoot.
Gilbert, God bless you.
Well, first of all, I think it's definitely a rigged election. Considering the fact that Joshua Francis lost his seat, it speaks volumes. Because Sharika, I mean, she had absolutely no chance of actually winning that constituency, and here it is that she actually took over. There are a lot of seats that are very questionable, like the Lapland constituency. We're looking at the Casabrus constituency, we're looking at the Carib territory, and the list continues, the Mau constituency, and the list continues. And I'm just very, very, very disappointed at this time, because I wanted to see that Roosevelt Scary being prosecuted, and the only person that I think that will actually hold up to their end of the bargain is actually Lennox Linton. He would definitely follow through and have this man investigated for all the crimes that he actually committed against Dominica.
How do you believe the international community should respond in light of the fact that he refused to enact electoral reform that the OAS, the Commonwealth, and CARICOM had recommended?
I think definitely that this election should be regarded on the international community as null and void. No one should recognize Roosevelt Skerritt as the sitting Prime Minister of Dominica because of what he has done. And look at it, only today that we look at Chestnut, the St. Lucian Prime Minister, he actually withdrew his troops from Dominica, all right, in an effort to show that, listen, these people in Dominica, they need electoral reform. And if you are not willing to actually give them electoral reform, then where do they stand? So I definitely support him and the move to withdraw the RSS troops from Dominica.
Stephen, you were a policeman in Dominica. What do you think Skerrit has done to the professional police force that you were once part of?
I think he has actually corrupted and perverted the entire justice system. And if we actually have to streamline it, say that the police force on a whole, he have actually corrupted it. And I mean, they have actually zero credibility as it relates to investigation of crimes and even personal safety and security for any other person. Because here it is that you have where we actually have an independent body as the police force, where it should actually be operating independently, and it's not. It's actually being scrutinized and being led by the Prime Minister of Dominica, whereas the Commissioner of Police is the one who should be making national security decisions, and not necessarily the Prime Minister on a whole.
That's a very important point you made. I know that there are very good police officers like Inspector Weeks and others who are trying, and the brave brothers of the Police Welfare Association who are trying to maintain a professional police service. We salute them. But you're right, the leadership and a lot of the rank and file have drank that red Kool-Aid of dictatorship. And I want to ask your comments on the Salisbury attack as a police officer, sending tear gas into homes while people slept.
First of all, I look at the fiasco that actually happened in Salisbury. That was an ambush on the people of Dominica, right? And the people of Dominica should have reacted today and send a clear signal out to that community, all right, or to that government that enough is enough. Because of what you did to the people of Salisbury, I'm retaliating against you and I'm voting you out. But they did not. They actually came through the hills of Salisbury, all right, and came down into the village. Only in the movies we see things like this, like in Vietnam movies and so on, in war movies where you actually have the police and the security agencies coming in and ambush people like this. And here it is that it happened in Dominica.
Is Dominica a democracy now, or is it a dictatorship?
Well, at this time, it's actually bordering, well, from yesterday it was bordering into a dictatorship. But today with this new election, I think we are a full-blown dictatorship.
And should there be any investment in Dominica of any kind or any sort of assistance to this regime at this time?
Well, Dominica is my land of my birth, and I am a patriotic Dominican, I must say. And to say outrightly that there should not be any help from any other foreign countries, where as it relates to maybe storms, natural disasters, and so on.
Well, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about natural disasters. You and I will break our backs to help Dominica.
Definitely.
As we have in the past, because you know you're one of the supporters of Rebuild Dominica. But we're talking about assistance to the regime itself.
Oh, no, definitely not. Definitely not. No direct investment, because as we looked at the Al Jazeera video where we actually had one of the investors, he actually came out and said these Dominica politicians are actually, they're like hungry hyenas. Yeah. And what they do, they actually, whatever that they get, they keep 90% of it and 10% to the country. That says a lot. Yes. On every dollar, they actually give in the country 10%. And we see the same thing is happening with the investments that they actually have, the hotel investments that they have across the country. Are
those hotels in the name of the people and government of Dominica, or are they in the names of the friends of the Prime Minister?
Oh, no, that's a big sham. I definitely think that the Prime Minister has a hand in all these investments in Dominica.
Yes, yes, yes. Any final words, Brother Steve?
Well, I'm a purebred Dominican, and I'm going to stay true to my country.
God bless you, brother. God bless you for your stance. We are proud of you. We love you and your family. And, you know, you give us hope. You give us courage. You're a true law enforcement officer. Because what you've done, you stood up for law and order, no matter the opposition. You know, so God bless you. Right. Thank you very much.